and welcome to Six Towns Radio in the Comedy Compass. I'm Adam Partington.
And I'm Johnny Davis.
And it's that time of the week again where we get really silly. How are we all doing? Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a fantastic guest on tonight. Mr. Islaam is here.
He's fantastic.
He's not here yet. He's going to be here. He's going to be on the phone again. As always, we'll get him in on Skype. That's terrific. Remember, you can get us on Facebook at the Comedy Compass on Six Towns Radio. You can find us on Twitter, YouTube, and Google+. We do all them social things really well. Danny, how has your week been?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I think we know why.
Yes, we do. Do you want to announce our little bit of news, pal?
Yeah. Well, Adam and I took part in a new act comedy competition. When was it? Sunday night?
Sorry, I just realised that
You sound like you're drinking soup.
Well, I'm having a bit of really nice tea here. It's that flavoured tea stuff.
Raspberry and pomegranate.
And I just
it's
properly
rock and roll in
slurped
here.
on the air. I do apologise. Continue. Yes, Sunday night.
New act comedy competition last Sunday. Me and Adam Partington, comedy brother of mine, have made it through to the grand final.
Yay!
We're actually funny.
If I'd have thought this through, I'd have played that Celebrate Good Times. Come on. I'd have played that song as soon as you'd have said that, but we're not good enough yet to do that.
We're not slick enough. We're not slick enough, prepared enough, but we're quite funny, apparently.
The truth is, ladies and gentlemen, we have no idea what we're doing.
Although we hide it really well.
We just stumble through shows.
Yeah, but we stumble through life.
But it works, yes, it works. So, drop us a line. Get us on Facebook, as I said, or you can email in at the studio, I think, or, tweet Six Towns Radio, at Six Towns Radio.
Adam, why did you point at the poster? Why are you pointing at things? This is radio.
Yeah, this is radio.
You can get us on that thing I'm pointing at. The thing over there. See it? You can get us that way.
Oh, God, I am such a moron. So, yeah, we've got a fantastic show for you lined up tonight as well. As I said, we've got a terrific comic on. We're going to get him on the line in just a little bit. And, yeah, I've got plenty of things to chat about with Jay.
Have we got any good music lined up?
Do you know what? We've got Friendly Fires in Paris, which is due to be the next song, but it's a remix. I don't want to play that.
No, I was just going to say, so I'll phrase the question again. Have we got any good music lined up?
Well, let me fire a question back at you, mate. Why don't you choose a song, and I will
Give me the choice. I've got to just name it.
Well, so I've just seen...
I'm tempted to say 5-star, but...
Firestar?
No, 5-star.
Because Firestar, when you said 5-star, I thought you said Firestar, and that was it was like an offshoot of Busted, and I was like, how on earth do you know that, being over the age of 50?
Only just over the age of 50 by 11 years. How about, can I go 80s, of course?
Yeah, of course you can.
Communards, Don't Leave Me This Way. The silence now.
Right, hold on.
Fantastic continuity on the radio, this is. We
Yes,
just go dead quiet. We're looking.
Right. You just keep on talking for a second.
Oh, well, this comedy competition, by the way, Adam and I are through to a final where if either one of us wins, well, the winner of the competition gets to perform on the same comedy bill as Canadian comedian Tom Stade. So for us, it's absolutely massive. And I think, Adam, we win some money.
Really?
Yeah, I think you win. Really?
I like money.
Yeah, I think you can either win 30 quid or 50 quid. Or maybe I've made that up and I've got it completely wrong.
That's brilliant. Although I don't do this for the money, obviously.
It's for the love.
It is for the love. It is all for the love. That's not lying either.
All the love in the... Sorry.
Carry on.
No,
you can sing to the...
I
can't find this song, mate.
Communards. I saw it. I definitely saw it.
Come. You. How do you spell it?
COMM.
Oh, double M.
Yeah. UNARDS.
Hold on.
It's like computer.
Oh, easy.
It's like no. Don't leave me this way.
No, you've got easy.
Yeah.
Night shift. 3 times a lady. I know that's...
No, that's the Commodores.
Oh, don't leave me... Oh, right.
Yeah, don't leave me this way. The Communards. God, we're pros.
Right, okay, so we'll play this song and then we'll try and get Jay on the line and we'll have a little conversation with him. Once again, you're listening to the Six Towns Radio and the Comedy Compass. Hello, and welcome back to the Comedy Compass. I'm Adam Partington.
And I'm Danny Davis, I am.
And this week, we made it to the final of a comedy competition. Woo!
I know. I feel different now. I didn't feel a great deal at the time. It was a bit of a shock, but now I feel quite different about it. I feel like I want to be prepared and I want to be better.
Really?
I'm growing up, Adam. I'm growing up in front of you.
You are, mate. You are. Has it inspired you then?
I'm growing now.
You've written a new set today.
I know, you hate me for this, don't you? Yeah. Well, we did 5 minutes at the new competition. We're only allowed to do 5 minutes. And then those that get through to the final, you do 10 minutes. And that 10 can include the 5 that you did before. But I've just wrote some new stuff. And we've got a load of gigs coming up anyway. So I just wanted to write new stuff.
No, I get you. So the gigs we've got coming up, we're going to be performing to like 200 people in Leicester.
Yeah, that's a little bit
scary.
Yeah, because when you spoke about that a few weeks ago and said, Danny, I've got this gig in Leicester. It's going to be about 200 people. I was thinking, sometimes these things turn out to be like 20 people.
Yeah.
And I spoke to the lady yesterday and she said, yeah, we sold 200 so far. So they're still selling tickets. So that's going to be our biggest gig ever.
I think so. I'm really looking forward to performing in front of that many people because, when you perform to 15, 20 people in the back room of a pub, when you get the laughs, it's nice, obviously. But when you perform to like a lot more people, so when we did the Stone gig and there was 100 people there, when you did get a laugh, you knew you'd got a laugh because you've got that many other humans laughing at you.
And when there's more people, it's a sea of faces. It's harder to see the people that are hating you.
Yes.
Whereas in a room of, say, 12 people, if 6 of those people wish you could actually just be abducted by aliens, it's fairly hard for you to not see the people that loathe you.
It so is.
And that one the gig we did in Derby, how long? I don't even know when these gigs were.
That was Friday.
The gig on Friday in Derby, there was a couple of people sat with their arms crossed.
No, it wasn't. It was Thursday. I apologise.
Why would you lie to me?
I
stop it. There was 2 people with their arms crossed. Flipping liar. With their arms crossed, and that's quite disconcerting.
Oh, it's horrendous. It's horrendous. Yeah. One of them had their arms crossed and was pulling a face at me like she didn't quite understand why I was still alive.
Yeah, I'm sorry for doing that, Adam. Yeah.
We saw a guy called Roger Swift. We're going to get on the show. We're definitely going to get Roger on the show. Roger's like, he's a really bizarre, he won't mind me saying this, in fact he'll enjoy it that I've said this, he's a really bizarre, very cool but a bizarre person, and an incredibly bizarre act as well. We continue to laugh at something that he does on stage, but anyway, I was speaking to Roger after, and as I said, we're definitely going to get him on the show because he will make a fantastic guest, I believe.
Absolutely, yeah. He said he wants to do it. The only way to describe his act, and I'm going to try to quote something from his website, but I'm probably going to get it wrong. But it's basically it's like Tim Vine on. I don't know what he said. Like Tim Vine on Overdrive.
Some kind of drug. Yeah,
some form of. Yeah, I'm trying to be tactful and not mention drugs.
No. Well,
drugs
can be. Drugs are a wide spectrum of things. Tim Vine, after he's drank a hell of a lot of coffee, would then equal Roger Swift.
Tim Vine in a speeding vehicle, moving
after drinking a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
Can we add that in?
Yeah.
Okay, you're happy with that, pal?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right.
But we've seen a lot of comics over the last sort of 6 to 12 months, whatever it is. But Roger's the one at the moment that we're sort of impersonating and reenacting parts of his routine. We done with great respect because this is one thing he does, and it's very difficult to do this. Obviously.
Well, I think that I can try and explain it. So he uses a lot of props, and he had a lot of cuddly toys, and he does this thing where he says something about a cuddly toy, and then he turns towards the cuddly toy whilst he's got it in his hand and makes this grunting type gesture in the direction of the cuddly toy for at least 30 seconds.
It's like, the audience. It's like a look of hatred, as if he despises and hates the prop.
Explain to the audience. Yes, that is a very you described that really well, and Dan. Explain to the audience of when I first clocked what Roger was doing.
Right. I will just say we're not on any kind of commission for any tickets sold to Roger's gigs. But what I will say is, if you get a chance to see Roger Swift, go and see him. He's fantastic. I've seen him a few times, so I knew what to expect. Adam hadn't seen him, but he does a lot of props, and he starts his show by wearing a coat. And attached to this coat are about 8 apples. He's wearing a hat with 2 tins of soup stuck to it and a cuddly toy and a pair of glasses made out of empty baked bean tins, which doesn't really help you, but if you can imagine, this is stood slightly to the left of you. And I said to Adam, oh, look, Adam, Roger's ready. And there's a bloke, I don't know how old Roger is. I don't know if he's in his 30s or his 40s, but he's just basically stood there with a fruit-covered coat with baked bean tins stuck to his eyes, 2 empty soup tins and a cupboard toy.
It was the most phenomenal thing I'd ever seen.
If I could have taken a picture of Adam's face when he saw that, it would have been. It was a joy. It was a joy to behold.
I would plaster my face when I saw that over like t-shirts and mugs. Not in an egotistic way, just because I don't think I'll ever pull that face again. Like I've seen quite a bit of bizarre things in my short existence on this planet so far. But like that I'll never forget Roger Swift.
It's and he'll never forget you. he'll never forget you. That sounded slightly sinister, didn't it? No, he's a really funny guy. I mean, obviously all the guys we go to see are all funny, but there was just something about Roger's act recently that's just really caught our attention.
Definitely.
And he gave us a gig we performed at one of his gigs very recently. So very great.
Roger, just on a quick note before we move on to the we'll have a little break.
Was that a nice burp then, yeah?
I'm sorry, I do apologise, listeners. It's this little fruity tea concoction that I have here. It's really nice. What we're going to do is we're going to play a little advert. Danny Davis, I know you like the adverts. Big fan of the adverts. We've got some terrific adverts coming up for you. What have I just said?
What do you want to do?
They are brilliant. I'm not going to deny. They're fantastic. Then we've got a bit of rudimental, and then we're going to get the terrific, the brilliant, a guy that I can't wait to speak to, Jay Islam, will be on the phone. And so it's all kicking off on 6 Towns Radio.
Get them
not go to sleep.
Get them ads on now.
Do not need to sleep, humans. Don't sleep. Humans never, ever sleep. Just don't sleep.
This is 6 Towns Radio, the Comedy Compass with Danny Davis and
Mr. Adam Partington.
Fantastic, so slick.
Do you know what I was thinking about today? Something that we don't do. Oh, hold on. No. Oh,
what have you done?
No. Do you know what I'm playing? Listen to this now. I'm playing a song. That's really silly of me. I haven't done that for a long time. I was really looking forward to playing that song.
Well, play it in a minute.
Yeah, all right, maybe.
We have the technology.
Maybe, that's true.
As if I know how it works. But the technology's there behind those button things that you press.
Yeah, we have the power, Danny.
Yeah.
My headphones are really off tonight. I want to make sure that they're working for when we get Jay on, which we're going to get Jay on in a second. I'm looking forward to that.
What were you thinking about then? You said you were thinking about something we don't do. This is really slick. I'm loving this section already.
This is great.
Yeah.
Let's get a real professional on, shall we?
Yeah.
Should we bring Jay in?
Yeah, bring him on. Bring him on now.
Okay then, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Comedy Compass, Mr. Jay Islam.
I can hear you now.
You can hear us. Oh, you see, do you know what? We're technology masters tonight, Jay. We've got this on lockdown, mate, I tell you.
Fantastic.
This is the worst advert for our show, Jay. I promise you we're more professional than this normally. No, we're not.
I'll take your word for it.
Jay, I was lying, pal. I was lying. So, I've never actually met you, Jay, which is a shame.
Yes, I've met Danny at a gig in Stone, I believe.
I've sort of given Adam an overview of you, who you are, and sort of what you do in terms of what I know of you. But for Adam's benefit and for the benefit of the listeners, can you sort of give us your not your comedy CV, but sort of like an overview of sort of who you are and what you are and how you perform, so we all know sort of a bit more about you?
Right, well, I'm relatively new in many ways because I've only been performing comedy for just over 9 months now.
Get out of town, really?
Yes. However, during those 9 months, I've done more than 180 shows.
Whoa! Wow, you put us to oh God,
that's incredible.
I'm usually doing about 6 a week. Is for me.
Wow.
The kind of material that I do is a mixture, and it's usually socially challenging or politically challenging, and it's characters on the one hand, but also straight stand-up as well.
Yeah.
Talking about different social issues and political issues that affect people day to day.
Cool.
So I mean, you are a little. Would you consider yourself then, Jay, to be like a bit of an alternative comic then, with regards to what's out there at the moment?
It's a weird one because what does alternative mean? As time goes on, what's considered alternative is subsumed by the mainstream and suddenly becomes mainstream.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff that I do isn't anywhere near new. I would say there have been people who've been doing character pieces for a long time. There are people who've been talking about politics and religion and social issues as well on the stage for a long time. So I think if you want alternative, that's a very different thing.
Right.
And there are plenty of excellent alternative shows and alternative comedians out there who do far more surreal stuff, I would say, would be considered. But alternative is something that wouldn't really appear on Live at the Apollo or, any of those BBC panel shows, for example.
Right. Okay, cool. So what made you get into comedy initially then, Jay? What was it that spurred you on to do this?
Well, I've worked in entertainment behind the scenes for a long time, ever since I was a teenager, I guess. I worked for several years as one of the managers at a big comedy club. I worked in radio, newspapers, public relations. I've done a lot of different work. I've also worked putting together live shows. But I didn't really feel confident enough to go on stage and present myself as a performer most time. And then about a year ago, I guess, just over a year ago, I split up from a long-term relationship and then moped around for several months, not knowing what to do. And, of course, my partner didn't like the idea of me doing comedy.
Right, okay. So it kind of gave you that, once you'd left it, you got that license to give it a go then?
Exactly. And so I went, well, I might as well give it a go now and see if you enjoy it, see if the audience enjoy it, and most of the time they seem to. And so I've never looked back.
So Jay, I mean, you mentioned that you touched on a minute ago about how you do straight stand-up and also performing as characters. Which is your preference? And sorry, two questions, I suppose. And when you perform as a character, do you find that does that give you like an emotional safety net? The fact that you don't feel that you're performing as you as much, does that make you feel more at ease, or are you quite happy in sort of both roles?
If I'm honest, I don't enjoy characters as much as when I perform as me or a version of me.
Yeah.
However, I have to admit that the characters are far more popular with audiences.
Yeah.
I'll put that down to because characters can be cartoonish caricatures.
Yeah.
It can be very simple humour. It can be stereotypes and cultural references and current affairs matters that people can connect to very easily. You have to write characters that way. And so it's easier for many audiences to enjoy that. What I do often as myself is I will be much more cutting. I will approach controversial subjects much more directly. My characters do approach controversial subjects, however, they do them with a nod and a wink.
Yeah.
It's a very different way of approaching it, whereas I quite enjoy challenging people directly from the stage. But of course, you've also got to mix in the funny. A man on a stage giving a lecture.
Yeah, no, I completely understand where you're coming from, and this is probably one of the reasons why I wanted to get into comedy as well, Jay. Not the sole reason, but one of them is because I've always kind of seen stand-up comedy as this outlet to maybe challenge the way that people think, but bring it in a comedic form, and I think that kind of really works, and I always kind of appreciate comics who do that. So I don't know who your heroes were, but some of mine were people like Carlin, Hicks. Doug Stanhope, who's a present, comedian in the States. So, I've always appreciated that, mate, and I really do dig that. That's cool. But you bring that kind of that you try and transfer a message within your comedy, and then also doing it with with characters and stuff as well, is terrific. So.
You mentioned those great names of comedy, the likes of Hicks and Lenny Bruce and Carlin and people who really challenge, and Doug Stanhope, of course, as well.
Yeah.
And I think there's not enough of that.
No.
At the moment. I think comedy is very sanitized, it's very commercialized. People are afraid to say anything that may potentially upset an audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fear of making themselves commercially unlovable.
Well, I had a situation, Jay. Excuse me, I'm professionally coughing there. I had a situation a few weeks ago where I wanted to end my set with a new thing that I'd added on, a new joke, and it would have meant me using a word that obviously I can't repeat on radio, but it would probably be the word that the typical member of the public would say is the most taboo word for us to use. And I wanted to use that in my set, and it would have been topical, and it would have been funny to an amount of people in the crowd. But because I've perhaps become slightly sanitised by it as well, I found myself, rather than thinking, that's my joke, that's my set, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to have conviction, and it's going to work, I found myself going around to people going, oh, do you think this would work? Do you think I can get away with this? And that is the problem. And that's why it's great when you've got trailblazers like you out there saying, well, I'm just going to stick 2 fingers up to the way that it's being done.
The boundaries
and push those boundaries. Because it's people like me that aren't prepared to take that big, bold step yet. And I didn't realise, Jay, and this is poor on my part, I didn't realise you've been gigging as long as I have. But you've done so many more gigs than I have. But you've got that risk awareness. You're prepared to push those boundaries. I'm nowhere near that yet, and I'd love to have the confidence to just say, yeah, that's a social issue, that's a political issue, or that's an issue regarding race, and I'm just going to go on stage and I'm going to confront it headlong, because I've definitely not got that level of confidence yet.
I think that I appreciate people not being willing to offend. If it's a choice that people make artistically or commercially, that's fine. I could never do that. I would feel like I was cheating myself and I was cheating the audience.
Yeah.
I use what would be termed offensive, racist words, for example, within my sets all the time, and I use them to make a point, essentially, to make a very important point. The idea that there are certain words taboo, and what I argue through my comedy, and hopefully I make it funny as well, is that by making a word taboo, you give it a power it doesn't deserve.
Yeah.
And you give bigots a power they don't deserve by fearing words that they can use against you. You have chosen them that power. And so I will get the audience to shout out all these taboo words in the middle of a set, again and again, to the point where the words lose their meaning. And go, right, so how do you feel now? And people do get it. They look, oh, okay, so it only means what I want it to mean, and I can choose the context of that word.
Yes, exactly. Terrific. Fantastic, Jay. I do want to speak to you more about this very progressive view on comedy that you've got. It's absolutely brilliant, mate, and it's really intriguing. Play a little song now. We've got some Oasis, She's Electric, and then we'll get Jay back on after, and we'll ask him some more questions, and we'll find out a little bit more about what he's about.
So Oasis, 6 Downs Radio. You listen to Danny and Adam on the Comedy Compass. Hopefully still on the line. Stop messing with the band.
Sorry,
messing with the band. Hopefully still on the line. We've got Jay. Are you still there, mate?
I am indeed.
Great stuff, mate. We were just talking while Oasis were playing then. We're so fascinated by this whole image you've got, or sort of attitude you've got towards confronting so many of these things. But what I just want to do, just quickly, if we can, just go back 9 months to when you took your sort of first leap of faith and moved into getting on stage in front of people. What was your writing process and the developing the characters? Because obviously Adam and I have been through this and we've got our own stories, but from that moment where you said, right, I'm going to do this, to walking on stage, sort of how long did that process take, and the writing process that you went through?
I went through a quite strange situation where I thought, well, I'm going to do my first gig, I'm just going to do it at the Edinburgh Festival.
God,
why am I not surprised?
You are absolutely ruining me here.
But I didn't have a venue. When you've never done a gig before, you know how it works. The only way I could get a gig was to do a comedy course up there.
Right.
And I wrote a whole load of material. I wrote a character called Bam Bam Shake. Who is this vile, hate-filled, misogynist, homophobic, racist Arab character, and based on the fact that I've lived in the Middle East and these people are very, very common there. And so I wrote this character, and I took it to this comedy course because the only way I was guaranteed a gig was to do this comedy course. Give you a graduation gig, as it were, the 2 days of doing their course. And everybody performed their little pieces, and then I performed mine. And was told by the tutor that She hated every second of everything I'd written. That I was going to get booed off stage, that it was horrible, and nobody would laugh. But turns out she was wrong. I didn't make a gig. It went exceptionally well. But the way I write then has changed from the way I write now. Because right now, what I do is, because I gig so much, I revisit the same venues often. And what that means is a lot of the same people see me again and again in a short space of time.
Yep.
Because I don't want to have to give them new material. It's essentially like, when you're a student, giving yourself a deadline makes you work much harder. So if I know that I'm visiting a venue that I visited last month, I know I have to write a new 10 minutes for that. To write new material all the time. However, it will be of variable quality. Some really good stuff, a lot not so great stuff. But the process of gigging so much forces you to get better quickly. And I find the absolute best jokes are the ones I write while my sets, usually in the 2 hours before a show. So you've written this set in your head, but until you start saying it out loud again and again yourself, it doesn't live and breathe in your head. And as soon as you start making it live and breathe in your head through the rehearsal process, new jokes suddenly occur to you, new asides, new toppers, and those are the best jokes. The ones that you write just before a show.
Danny Davis is looking at me now, Jay, and he's nodding his head in agreement with you, because we've got this little bit of a joke type that we have with each other before we go on. Because I've literally stood there before Danny's about to go on, and he is within 10 minutes he's thought of new things, and he's like, right, I'm going to do this now. And to me, mate, that is chaotic. Honestly, to me, Jay, I mean, I have to try and I write my set out all the time, and I have to go over it again and again to make sure it sinks in. And then for this guy to just stand next to me and be like, right, okay, I'm going to just do something I've just thought about. It's crazy. So it's really interesting that you're talking about this now. And with regards to the rehearsal process, what kind of process do you go through then personally?
Say again, sorry?
With regards to the actual rehearsal process, your own personal one, what kind of things do you do to try and make sure that the stuff that you're going to do, the material actually sinks in?
I have a dictaphone. Okay. And I will write out my set. I will type it up. I will print it out, and then it's emotionlessly in the phone.
Yep.
And then on the way to the gig in my car, I will listen to me saying that emotionlessly, monotone drone, saying it again and again. And while I'm listening to it, I will start thinking to myself, right, first that will subconsciously anyway, because you hear it again and again. I start thinking, right, I need to really push the intonation at this point. This sentence needs to be tighter. This joke to be swapped around front to back, or to be funnier. And you find yourself doing that because what you're not listening to is you performing, listening to just words. And I find that really helps.
Right, that's interesting to know.
Actually, Jay, this is quite strange, actually, because this is how I do it as well. I don't use a dictaphone. I just use the iPhone, sort of same premise. But what I do is I never write my stuff out as a script. I always leave it as there are key pointers. If it was for example, a joke about a cup of tea, I would just put down cup, tea, milk, water, sugar, and those are my sort of key pointers. And I've got my 3 jokes up to my main gag. But what I do is when I rehearse it and do my timings, it's delivered as the words are so emotionless. It's like when I tell my wife I love her, that the words just but I literally just say them, and then when I get to a gig, I don't really always know until I get on stage how I'm going to deliver it or what my time is going to be like, and I don't know whether it's that I thrive in that environment but I don't feel nerves or ill prepared before the gig. I'm desperate to get on stage. And I don't know whether it is that something just kicks in, or it's that fear of knowing that I've got to push myself that makes it come out with all the intonation and sort of the emotions in all the right areas. But it just seems to work for me. So it's nice to hear that someone else does it in that method, because I've considered it to be fairly chaotic for me to do it that way.
I find that it somehow gels in your head better. and you get to play around a lot. It's almost I know it's a weird, but it's kind of like the Stanley Kubrick way of editing or filming, as it were.
Yeah.
Where he has 6 TVs next to each other, and he plays the same scene that he's recorded different takes on each TV at the same time, and so he can compare and control what I'm doing by recording it emotionlessly and without any intonation, and listening to it. I can then practice myself saying it in different ways, and work out which is going to be funnier.
Okay, so I mean, from now, in terms of people listening to this now sort of are going to be very intrigued about coming to see you and sort of, who you are, what you're about, which character you're going to be. Are you going to be Bam Bam? You're going to be you doing your stand-up? I mean, where are you going to be over? You gig a lot, obviously, so we're not going to ask you for where you're going to be over the next month, because we'll be here for a fortnight. But in terms of the next sort of 5 or 6 days, is there anywhere Midlands-based that guys can catch you live?
Yeah, I will be at a place called the Comedy Junction, Sutton Coldfield. That's tomorrow. I do have quite a few gigs coming up. However, I guess the next big one that I'm doing will be the Glee Club in Birmingham on the 6th of June. Is probably the most exciting one that's coming up on my schedule.
I'd say.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Jay, what we're going to do, mate, we're going to play another song, and then we're going to get you on for the last bit of the show. I've got a few more questions that I want to ask you about teaching comedy, and obviously your Edinburgh set as well that you do, mate, which I know is a big deal. So yeah, let's play a bit of the Kook, She Moves in Her Own Ways, and then we'll get Jay back, and we'll do the last bit of the show. You're listening to the Comedy Compass on 6 Towns Radio.
That's the Kooks. This is 6 Towns Radio, the Comedy Compass. It's Wednesday night. You're very lucky to be listening to such beautiful people here in Stoke-on-Trent. I'm joined here by Adam Partington, live on the line, hopefully still. Jay Islam, are you still there, Jay?
Hello.
Hello, mate. How's it going? All right?
All good.
Good stuff. Jay, one thing I wanted to ask, I mean, obviously 9 months, sort of fairly new to the scene, I suppose you would say, but the number of gigs you've done is still frankly freaking me out. I mean, I came through a comedy school. Adam came through a comedy school as well. So we're sort of very familiar with how you got onto the scene. But people are saying a lot at the moment that the comedy scene is saturated. We don't need anybody new. Anyone thinking of getting into it should sort of forget it. But I'm guessing, you're going to be a big supporter of people getting out there and, if they want to try it, giving it a go and getting on stage for that first time.
Yes. I'm a big fan of people who want to do it, trying to do it. However, I'm not a huge fan of comedy courses. And the reason I say that is because a lot of the time what the comedy courses are teaching you to be able to do is to perform adequately at a graduation gig.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a false environment as far as comedy is concerned, because it will be mainly the other graduates of the comedy course and some friends and family of those graduates, and it will be a very supportive audience. It's not, and you could argue it's kind of like, cycling with the training wheels on.
Yeah.
However, what you're taught at comedy courses, I am told often, how to be whatever is doing well, successfully on the circuit at the moment, which is either a Tim Vine or a Jimmy Carr. That's what they're teaching you to be.
Yeah.
And which is kind of pointless, because we already have plenty of Tim Vines and Jimmy Carr alike comedians on the circuit already. And if the courses were honest, what they would tell you is, we can't teach you how to be funny.
Yeah, but I agree, actually, because when I went to that very first one, I wrote some stuff in the car on the way there because I didn't know what to expect. And when I got there and they said, oh, by the way, we can only teach you how to perform, get up and have a go, I went through the 5-week process, did the gig to 100 people. But one thing I was told very soon after by a guy called Jason Coleman, he said to me, just gig, mate. He said, you've got to gig. Get out there now and find your own feet and find your own voice. And I was thinking, what do you mean gig? I'm not going to do any more gig. That's it. I've done this one gig now. That's it. But it is true. You have to get out there and just keep gigging. And then you find your voice, you find your material, and you develop. You go past that first stage where you write some stuff that people perhaps would expect you to write, And then as time progresses, you start to write stuff and people start to say things like, actually, yeah, that's really clever. I wasn't expecting that. And you then develop. So I know what you mean. The course enables you to take that first step, but where you go from there is entirely up to you, really. You then become sort of like the master of your own destiny, don't you?
But I do have an issue, particularly with London. Not necessarily the rest of the country, because I think the rest of the country, but in London, what you have, I find, are a lot of people essentially being churned out factory-like from these comedy courses and clogging up the open mic circuit, all believing in their own path, which of course all artists do to a certain extent, although the greatest artists seem not to, it seems. But there's a lot of people out there who stay on the circuit for much longer than they should be, is what a lot of people think, when they don't belong there. Whereas in the Midlands, in the North, in Scotland, those people quickly are drop out and are weeded out, as it were, by the circuit, because the gigs are better here. Midlands, in the North, in Scotland, and they're more realistic an experience versus what a major comedy club would be like, because they have audiences in who are not overly kind, but also up for a laugh as well, which is what you find in the more professional gigs.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, one of the things I think which to consider with the London circuit, from what I've heard, Jay, is that you normally, to get an open mic slot, you have to take somebody with you and stuff. So naturally, you've got someone there who's going to be supported. Maybe you take a few people. You know what I mean? And there's a little bit more of that, isn't there, in the London scene? I believe. I've been told. I've never gigged in London yet. So.
Well, and also, I think there's a kind of more brutal honesty to comedians. If they think your material could be better, could be improved, or isn't good enough, they will often tell you. And that's better than a kind of false flattery you can sometimes get, and the London scene is accused of often.
Right. That's interesting. Jay, Danny, I've really appreciated having you on tonight. So intriguing, mate. We will have to get you back on again, because we could do this for hours, chatting to you about stand-up. And the fact that you've only done it for 6 months, I think, is... 9 months, apologies, Jay, is terrific as well, mate, and it's inspiring to us, to have these such, thought-provoking and intelligent views on the circuit, and you made me think a lot as well, so that's great, and I'm sure the listeners have enjoyed it as well. Just quickly, mate, we're gonna play another song in a minute. We're gonna play a bit of the Beatles, which is Ace, but before we do you want to just tell the guys about your Edinburgh show?
I'm doing a show at Edinburgh called The Racist Joke Show. It's one of the shows I'm doing.
Can't imagine what it's about.
There you go. What is it about? That's the question. And I'm going to leave the audience in suspense until they arrive to be surprised about what it's about.
Great.
Or maybe. We'll see.
Great.
Excellent.
You can follow it on Twitter, Racist Joke Show. Please follow it on Twitter.
I will. I definitely will. I can promise. I'm a big Twitter fan.
Well, listen, me and Adam are going to absolutely get out and see you, because obviously I've seen you in Stone in one of your guises, but we need to see you some more. So me and Adam have said we're going to try and get out and see a bit more live comedy on nights when we're not actually performing. So I'm sure we'll catch up with you soon, mate. But good luck for Edinburgh, obviously.
Yeah, best of luck, Jay.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming on then, Jay. That was Jay Islam, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to play a bit of the Beatles now. It's A Hard Day's Night. Great song. Brilliant show we've had tonight. I'm sure you agree, Danny. That has been
awesome. Jay, really fascinating listening to Jay. And I was just saying to Adam off air, I think out of all the sort of comics that I've spoken to recently, no disrespect to anybody, but Jay's the one that I actually feel now, having listened to his processes, I relate to most of the moment. It's quite interesting to realise that the way I do things, other people do it as well. But obviously, I've still got a lot to learn.
Yeah, my conclusion is when I grow up, I want to be Jay Islam. That's how I see it. Danny can't say that because he's already grown up.
If I grow up anymore, I will look like a prune. I don't know. A 6'4" prune.
No, but we've really enjoyed it tonight. It's been a terrific show, and if you've listened, thank you. I appreciate you giving up an hour of your existence to listen to me and Danny Davis and Jay Islam, who has been a brilliant guest. And if you can get a chance to see Jay, on any of the circuit.
Get out there and see him.
Mr. J. Islam, ladies and gentlemen. Islam. I say it's like Islam.
It's Islam.
It's Islam.
Islam.
As if you would say the religion, right? Because he's got 2 A's in his surname, so I'm saying like Islam, like that, really quick. And it's Islam, isn't it?
Yeah.
Islam.
That's right, Adam. It is. Yeah,
it is. Well, you know what my pronunciation is like exactly. I'm renowned for it. It's been a pleasure speaking to you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We've got
gorgeous.
Bit of Will Young to play you out. So yeah, thank you again for listening.
See you in a week.
Turn on out.